Hello and welcome to a Cyberpunk 2077 video. Today I wanted to take a look at Cyberpunk 2077's first DLC, that being Phantom Liberty. But as always guys, if you enjoy this kind of content then please do make sure to drop the channel a small subscribe just to show your appreciation and of course to keep up to date with recent uploads. So we do have some details about this DLC, so let's just quickly establish what we actually know about this upcoming expansion, and then we can go into some speculation. Oh, the S word. Oh, we love it. So Phantom Liberty will revitalize the Pacifica combat area, which should include the stadium and out of bounds areas nearby. Here's some photos showcasing the stadium's new interior and exterior. As you can see with the interior, the stadium actually exists now. Obviously we can see that this is now changed with Phantom Liberty, and how this actually ties into the story is of course anyone's guess, but I think it's pretty likely that it's going to be some kind of a combat arena, particularly since I believe that's how it was supposed to be in the base game. Could be wrong, but since we're in the combat area, does make sense to use this big old building, maybe it's like a coliseum almost. And the exterior as well, we can see it in the background, but it looks as if it's actually being rebuilt. It is also likely that Pacifica in general, you know, we're just talking about the area here, will be getting some sort of a revamp or just a general fleshing out, which in my opinion, and pretty much everyone's fucking opinion, is completely needed. Here's another sweet old screenshot of New Pacifica, and yes, look, things just look so much more developed yet underdeveloped. You know, get it? Because the more it develops, the more underdeveloped it yeah, okay. On top of this as well, there is also an entirely new district called Dogtown and another called Haven, a bit like Havant, which is in Hampshire, a little bit close to Portsmouth. Little information is known about these places besides this fit-ass screenshot, again, scrumptious, which shows an environment similar to Pacifica. Perhaps this is just a district inside of Pacifica, you know, like a little micro district, or maybe it's an entirely new part of the map. Either way though, it has become extremely apparent that CDPR have listened to what the majority of the player base are saying about Cyberpunk in terms of its map, and that is that Pacifica is pointless, it's underdeveloped, and it's fucking full to the brim with cut content. So it's nice to see that this area is getting fleshed out, and not just in terms of, you know, an update like 1.7, but actually a full expansion which will tie into a new story. Which of course leads me on to Phantom Liberty's story. Now look, I'm not going to go balls deep into this thing, but I will say that it includes new characters such as big man Idris Elba. This man is an absolute UK icon and we love him. And returning characters such as Johnny Reeves. The story seems engaging and high budget, especially since this DLC is the most expensive production CDPR have undertaken so far, which is it's pretty fucking impressive. So all of this comes together to form a nice expansion for Cyberpunk, and let me say as well that this is still planned to be the only release for Cyberpunk 2077. Clearly, if this expansion bangs, I think it's quite likely that CDPR will change their minds about that, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's not talking about morals and ethics and the community's wishes, it's cold hard cash. And if this DLC brings in cold hard cash, there's going to be a second one and probably a third one. An expansion which improves upon the worst part of Cyberpunk, you know, in terms of its map, as well as giving us new weapons, new animations, new characters, new story elements, as well as update 1.7, which comes sometime around the release. We don't know if that's before or after. Means that Cyberpunk is in a very exciting place, and maybe I can actually make videos about this game which are, you know, me talking about the game and not about what could be in the game or what should have been in the game. I want to discuss some things now, okay? Bear with me, particularly what this expansion needs to do to bring Cyberpunk up to a solid level. First of all, I do not think that Phantom Liberty can bomb, and by that I don't think it will be a failure, I don't think it will disappoint people. I think, to be honest with you, it's gonna be pretty fucking good. And I know a lot of people said this about Cyberpunk before it came out, and then, you know, obviously we know what happened with that, but you gotta think that when it comes to the actual release of Cyberpunk. Of course, we had all of these different variables which were coming into play, particularly with the game being rushed out because of, you know, trailers, deadlines. This time around, CDPR have had a ton of time to create this DLC, and they've likely been working on it since 2020. You know, they've probably had some kind of sub-team just doing little bits here and there. The greatest aspect of Cyberpunk, you know, if we look at 2077 just as a game in general, its greatest strengths are its story, its writing, its characters, and its environments. So to make a DLC which includes a new story with obviously new bits of writing, new characters, and new environments, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's going to be up to par, if not better than what we have been expecting or have been experiencing with the base game. In terms of actual content, there will be no issues, but what I think is more likely to cause issues is, of course, the technical bugs and glitches, particularly because Red Engine is supposedly quite difficult to work with, hence why CDPR are moving to Unreal Engine 5 for the next installment, and I think future titles in general. But you would hope that given the amount of time they've had to work on this, coupled with, of course, PTSD from the game's launch, that technical issues will be ironed out before this DLC drops. What I find the most interesting as well, and what I'm particularly excited to see, is how these revamped areas and these new districts compare to the vanilla map. As in, if these new districts and areas have a noticeable jump in quality, then it ultimately proves just how rushed out the base game was. To see CDPR create a cyberpunk world with very little time pressures and deadlines to meet is honestly like a wet dream for me, and this gets me very, very excited. But we can't just have a new DLC and a new environment to explore. We need to do stuff inside of here. If it's a combat area, then we need to have random encounters. We need to have violence. We need to have life circulating in this playable area. We need Phantom Liberty to not only feel more lived in than the base game, but for this to not just be an illusion. Dynamic gameplay is sorely needed, especially for this type of DLC and this type of environment bringing into the game. Maybe, okay, just maybe, Update 1.7 will provide us with the foundations for this DLC to really make something special. So that's what I think, and you may agree, you may disagree, but importantly I want you to let me know. So please do feel free to put your thoughts in the comment section of the video. I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and if you guys enjoyed it, please do feel free to leave a like on it. Thank you very much. I hope this was interesting, and as always, I will catch you lot in a bit.